There once was a criminal who had committed a very serious crime. He was taken to the king's court for his punishment. There, he sat down on his legs, folded his hands like this, and looked up to the king, hoping that he would get some mercy. But the king said, "You have only two choices. One is to get hung on a rope, or the second is to go through the mysterious, dark, black iron door that you see right in front of you." The criminal instantly chose the rope. As the preparations were being done, and when he was put on that rope, on that noose of the rope, he asked the king and he said, "King, out of curiosity, I just want to know what is behind that door." The king laughed and said, "I've given this choice to everyone, and almost everyone has chosen to take the rope only." The criminal again persisted and asked, "Okay, but tell me what is behind that door. I am not going to be able to tell it to anyone, anyways," he said by pointing towards his neck. And then the king took a little pause and finally said, "Freedom." That door leads to freedom, but most of the people are so afraid of the unknown that they choose dying instead of choosing their freedom. Les Brown said, and I'm paraphrasing, that most of us don't live our dreams because we are busy living our fears. This is so true. All of us, you, me, and anyone else who's watching this video, and all of you, and all of the people that surround you, everybody is fearful. Deep down, somewhere deep inside, there is some kind of fear that stops us from being who we can be. The advice we give to each other, the kind of talk we have, most of the times, most people talk out of fear. Let me explain this concept just a little bit. Imagine that you're walking into a coffee shop and there you're working on writing your blog post. You have written it, you have edited it, and now you're publishing it. And that's when someone comes up and sees that, oh, you're writing a blog post and that you're publishing it. And then that person says, "You're writing a blog post, that's wonderful." And you say, "Yes, thank you, I'm just about to publish it." And then he asks, "But how much traffic do you really get on your website?" And you say, "I'm just starting out, so it's not a lot, but I am getting some good traction." And he then just takes a peek at the title of your blog post and says, "This may just never work out, but I'm glad that you're trying." And then he walks away. This is a very small and little conversation, but it shows a very deeper aspect of human behavior and of how we live our lives. The person who came up to you and said that this may not work is actually letting out his own insecurity and his own fear that he thinks that blogging or these kind of things will not work for him. If he ever thinks about starting a blog or of doing something like this, the first thought that would come in his mind is, what if this doesn't work? What if no one wants to read it? That's fear. When you talk to your parents about a career opportunity or a college opportunity, and that college is, let's say, in some other country or in some other city, your parents may object that. They may say that, "What will you learn extra there? Colleges teach the same thing, just study here, just stay with us," and all of those things. Again, that behavior is also out of fear. They think that if you go to another city or another college, you may get spoiled, you may get into bad company, or that you may not study at all if you're not under their supervision. That is the kind of fear they have. When your friends tell you not to move to another city or not to go somewhere, deep down they are saying it because they fear that they will lose you. They fear that they won't be able to keep in touch with you. Do you understand now how all of these things connect and actually are based off of fear? We fear the unknown, we fear what may happen in the future, and all of it is based on the kind of past we have seen, on the kind of events that have happened with us. And when that happens, we become fearful, we become anxious, of how our future will turn out. And when we become anxious of how our future will turn out, we don't take the right actions, we seize our decision making power, we aren't able to use it properly, and that creates even more negative effects for us. If we are fearful, we will never be able to live our life to the fullest. We will never be able to realize our big dreams, because the first thing our mind will say is, what if you fail? What if it doesn't work out? What if? In that moment, all you need to do is ask your mind, what if it does work? What if I do succeed? What if this turns out to be great? That is the kind of attitude you need. And a specific distinction that I want to point out here is that you are not as same as your mind. The way you think and your thoughts are what define your mind. And by changing your thoughts, you can change the way your mind thinks as well. So if you feel certain feelings, if you feel fear deep inside, know that the fear is not you. It is just a feeling that you are experiencing, and that you can get over that fear very easily. Now, before we go on to how to get over our fears and how to do all of that, we first need to understand, how do these fears originate in the first place? How do we become fearful of certain things? And why does that nagging question of what if keeps ringing in our mind? Let's understand that deeply. So there are two kinds of fears. One is a biological fear and the other is a psychological or mental fear. The biological fear is necessary. That is the kind of fear that tells you when you're in danger and when you should run away. Our ancestors had this very famous fight, flight or freeze response. That when they saw something, out of fear, they would act that whether they should fight with that, whether they should flight, or they should run away from it, or they should just freeze right there. That is the kind of thinking that still goes on in our minds. So biological fear is natural and it should be there. If you say that I am fearless and you go stand in the middle of a road, in the middle of a junction, you are very likely to get hit by a car and get killed. That is not something you want. If you are standing in the middle of a junction and you see a fast car approaching, you will run away, and that is because you are fearful that the car will hit you. And those kind of fears are the kinds of fear you need. Then comes the other type of fear, that is a psychological fear. These are just mental situations we create, and they don't even sometimes exist in our mind. They don't even sometimes exist in our surroundings. Psychological fears are like, I'll fail the exam, I'll fail in my new business venture, I'll get fired from the job, what if my business doesn't work, what if this happens, what if that happens, all of those things. All these doubts, all these negative thoughts are just psychological fears. Why do these fears come up though? It's simple. That is the way we think. First of all, what we do is that in our society, how we see the things going around is that people are saying, don't do this, don't do that. Our parents tell us, oh, don't touch that electrical cable, don't touch this switch, don't do that. But out of curiosity, we often do those kind of things. But our parents still tell us, don't do this, don't do that. You should not touch these kind of things, or you should not go to the swimming pool, you should not go near a river, you should not go up there. And they are saying it out of safety, out of making us feel safe, and that is important. That is their concern on the right place. But when we see that society on its own works on the concept of fear, in our schools, what we are told is, you should get good marks, otherwise you will not pass, otherwise you will fail. What is it? Fear. In sports, we hear that do well, otherwise your competition will beat you, you will be left behind. Again, that is fear. In this way, in other kinds of situations as well, in our colleges, then in the jobs we do, in our corporate world, all of these things also depend on fear. And that is why we start thinking that the world is made on fear. Our psychological fears become very strong, and all of these what if scenarios, we think so much about them that instead of from what if, they turn into that this is happening. The wall between reality and imagination is not very clear for our mind, and that is why when we think repeatedly about what if this happens, then the question does not remain of what if it happens, then the question remains of when will it happen, because you've already made it a reality in your mind. Do you want that kind of thing? Do you want to live in a reality? Do you want to live in a world that is based on fear? You don't. You instead want to live a prosperous, abundant, and happy life, right? You want to get to your dreams, you want to get to your destinations, whatever it is, the goals you have set. And for that, you need to overcome these kind of psychological fears. You need to be like an eagle in a group of birds. What many birds do is that they fly under the clouds, and when it rains, their wings get wet and they're not able to fly anymore. So they come down, they stop and wait for the rain to stop, then they wait for themselves to dry and then they fly again. The eagle doesn't do that. The eagle is the master of them all. The eagle has the courage to fly higher. And that courage comes because the eagle then goes up above the clouds only. The eagle sees the world from a different angle. The eagle is above the rain, above his obstacles. And that is the kind of person you need to become. No matter how much others tell you that you should not do this, you should not do that, or that your idea is too risky, or that you will feel, if others are scared, you need to be courageous. If others are afraid, you need to be brave. And if others are doubtful, you need to believe in yourself. Keep this thing in mind. Do the opposite of what most people feel and fear, because fear has never helped anyone succeed. And for most people who have succeeded, you look at them, most of them defied what people told them to do, and they did it on the basis of their courage, not on the basis of what people told them. So first of all, the concept that you need to bring in your mind is that people will always say. People always have something or the other to say, and you don't need to believe them, because they too are living in a world based on fear. And if you can bring that change, if you can change that fear scenario and you can act based on courage, passion, purpose, these kind of things, then you will start a positive change in this world. And I want you to be that catalyst. I am doing that through my work, through my videos, through my blog posts and the book I have written. I am doing all of these things because somebody can say, anybody can say, how can a 14-year-old write a non-fiction self-help book? That person might not even have experience. What experience do teenagers have, and all of those things? And I could have easily listened to those critics. I didn't. I believed in myself when they were doubtful. I was brave when they were afraid, and I was courageous when they were scared. I became like that eagle. I flew above the clouds. I broke all my obstacles and I went over them instead. And that then helped me become a published author. And today I'm making these kind of videos and I'm inspiring you as well. So first of all, I want you to get this concept in mind, that people will say anything and everything they have to say, and they'll say it on the basis of fear. You have already lived so many years on the basis of fear, and you know that you don't like that kind of life. So why would you listen to someone else thinking that maybe they are saying something different? They are not. They are just repeating the same cycle of fear, and it is upon you to change it. This is the first thing that you need to keep in mind. Then the other thing that you need to keep in mind is that courage comes from being that eagle and having that clarity. The only reason why that eagle is able to rise above all of the other birds and get into the clouds is because he believes in himself, and he knows that once I get there, I will be able to see the world fully. I'll be able to map out my things better, and I'll be able to hunt better with more clear vision of what all is happening around. The eagle has that goal, and that is why the eagle rises above. The other birds, they don't have a goal for getting above the clouds. They just want to remain below so that they can see the world. They don't want to go above because they think that we don't know what will happen. And that is a big problem. We fear the unknown. In the story of the criminal that I told you in the start, the criminal feared the unknown and he gave up his freedom and instead died. That is not something you want to do. And if you want to get over the fear of the unknown, and you want to be able to go through those big black dark doors, if you want to be able to climb above the clouds, if you want to be able to go above those clouds, then you need to bring clarity. What do you want to achieve? What do you want to do in your life? And once you get to that level, once you get over those obstacles, what is your main motive to do that, and how will it help you? Bring this kind of crystal clear clarity in your mind, because only then will it become even more easier for you to believe, because you know that exactly what is going to happen. And it helps in the first case scenario as well, when people stop you. When you have the clarity of why you want to go above the clouds, of how it will help you, and of how you will succeed, you will be able to answer each and every critic, and you will know that you are on the right path. It is your parents' concern, and it is great if they are asking you that, are you sure about this? Are you sure if you want to do this? Because they always want the best for you. If you can't answer properly to them, if you can't easily give them the idea that yes, this is what I want to do, and I know I will be successful, if I give my 100%, I will be successful, and this is what my basic plan is, they will start believing you. So first, it is not their problem, it is not an issue in them that they are asking you. The problem that you need to solve in yourself is that you need to gain full clarity of where you want to go and exactly what you want to achieve. That is the second thing, it needs to be courageous. And the third thing is to be bold, to take risks. Fear is just imagination and negative scenarios at a much higher level. They are just hyperboles. They may not actually play out in the real world, but your mind is really great at imagining. That is why we have so many great fiction stories, right? Human beings are very good at imagination, but most of us use that imagination for negative purposes. Most of us use that imagination to wonder what will happen to us, what if we get into a car accident, what if we lose our job. But most of us never wonder what will happen when I get to that adventure, what will happen when I get the next promotion at work, and all of those things. We need to change the way we think, and we need to start taking risks. We need to start believing in the unknown. Because at the core, when we see what fear is, it is simply a belief, and beliefs can be changed. When you change your thought process, you change your beliefs. So when you start thinking positively, when you start imagining positive situations, you start changing your negative, fearful beliefs into positive and optimistic beliefs. That's your next step. If you really want to be courageous, if you really want to break all barriers, if you want to get to those clouds, you need to do this. You need to imagine that you are at a successful level. You need to, whatever clarity you got in the last step, you need to imagine it continuously here. Because your fear went from being a what if situation to when will it happen situation, because it was constantly repeated and then it became your reality. In the same way, if you constantly repeat the positive thoughts, they will also become your reality. That is how you become courageous. That is how you become courageous when others are scared. And this is what will help you get to that next level and become extraordinary. So keep these steps in mind. Remember that fear is just a belief and it is your imagination. And biological fears are necessary. You can't say that I am fearless and then you go deep swimming into the ocean and all of those things. They will actually be harmful for you. A certain amount of necessary fear should be there, but unnecessary psychological fears are limiting you. They are limiting your potential and they are stopping you from who you can be. By overcoming them and by becoming courageous through the steps I described in this video right now for you, you will create massive success for yourself. You will create a lot of positivity for yourself in your life, and you will get into the league of high achievers. I said earlier that you need to surround yourself with positive thoughts, and then with all of these things you'll get into the league of high achievers. And the first thing you can do is hit the subscribe button on this channel and the bell icon, because through the kind of videos I'm putting out for you, I am giving you a lot of value, and these kind of positive thoughts, when you listen to them every day, they will impact your life positively, and they will also play a major role in helping you get over your fear. Also, not just that, they will help you in other areas of your life as well and accelerate your success to the next level. So stay tuned for that and hit the subscribe button. Also, like this video because it helps me grow, and in that way it helps you grow too, and share it with as many people as possible so that more and more people can overcome their fears and become high achievers. I'll see you in the next video. And thank you very much for watching.